when they say I'm the first female talking drummer, I always tell people, I am not the first female talking drummer, but I'm the first female talking drummer of international repute to be celebrated, to be recognized, because I know there must have been women who played this instrument, but they were never recognized and acknowledged in the past. ARA is just that first woman or girl, as it were, when I started, to be recognized for this instrument and to take it on the international scene. That spiritual backing and guidance that I had, that I know I have, saw me through it all, because there were days that I felt like committing suicide. There were days I felt like I felt I was going to go mad. You know, there was a particular day I just assembled all the plates in the house. I started breaking them against the wall. I was going crazy, you know, because I wasn't allowed to mix up. I wasn't allowed to see my family. I wasn't allowed to make friends. Even my colleagues in the industry were so upset with me that, oh my God, proud Nisha. I used to tell people, if Michael is not an ordinary human being, or was not an ordinary human being, if I could experience it for just 7 years of being held, locked up, away from everyone, manipulated, you know, exploited and violated, you know, if I could go through that for 7 years, and I almost lost my mind at some point. I wasn't making the kind of money I was supposed to make, because I could remember that at some point, even as big as the brand was, I would need to still go and sign for 5,000, 10,000 naira. You understand? I'm glad that some things happened that didn't expose me to some people, because my brother, I was extremely naive, extremely. So he shielded me. He played on that. Then he shielded me from other people that would have taken undue advantage of me, because of where I was coming from. Like I said, I had not a single street sense. If you got a deal for 100 million, let your artist know you got a deal for 100 million. Why lie about it? Now, the artist knows that the 100 million is not for him or her alone. The artist knows that. And then as you are investing, because I've had this discussion with somebody, if you sign an unknown artist for the first time, always make sure that you have a dedicated team or personnel working with them and making them realize every penny spent or every goodwill leverage done and what it translates to. Let me ask you, why make somebody a king and want to treat them like a slave? When you pick the raw talent, they are more or less like begging, like beggars. Then they become a king. It's just like even the mother of a king, or even the king makers, at the point where you're about to be made a king, the story is different. Once you become a king, when you're about to cool, then you're kimberly kutopa babenyo.
It's another very wonderful, lovely moment today in the city of Lagos. And because it's a very wonderful moment, I'm happy to appreciate the atmosphere as well, because we are meeting a very, very important and iconic personality. This wonderful enigmatic personality. We've been on her chase. We've been chasing her in the last 2.5 years. It has not been easy. It has been full of surprises, rigors, appointments, and even in some cases, disappointments, because she's a very innovative person, busy person. Her schedules are always filled to the brim. At times she might be in Nigeria, and at times she might be very challenged with cultural activities here and there around the world, but mostly she has been around the country. And today, by the grace of God, when we got an invitation 2 days ago that we're going to meet her, we felt so overjoyed. Actually, we were supposed to meet her 2 weeks ago. We fixed the date, but unfortunately, the NSAS process cramped into our appointments, and we lost that appointment, and it was a big, huge one. But thank God, 2 days ago, we got a light, we got a signal from her office that is going to happen today. And by the special grace of God, today, in a very wonderful garden, not too far from our home here in Lagos, we are meeting the enigmatic ARALOLA OLUMUYIWA. Ara is a different woman, a different personality. She is the first female talking drummer in Nigeria who came out with a very innovative idea some 2 decades ago. And she really shook the world with her creativity. She went around the world. She was the toast of town until today. She remains herself, her old self, a rare brand, a rare image, an iconic personality. Her creativity stands with her till today. And by the grace of God, we are sitting beside her today in this humble atmosphere of arts and creativity. And we want to thank her aid for this wonderful opportunity. And we're also going to thank her for giving us her nods at the end. Ma, we are very grateful meeting you today. It has been so hectic in the last 2.5 years. We've tried all the, what can I call it, the tricks in the book to pin you down, and most of the time it has just not been easy. At times we book appointments, and after weeks they tell us you are not in town. Maybe you went to Ondo State, or you went to Osun to go and attend a cultural event, or you're out of the country. And the last time we nearly got closer was 2 years ago, when we learned that you performed at the 80th birthday of the present governor of Lagos State. I think it was still governor-elect. I think it was last year, governor-elect. It was last year. Yes, he was just coming out of the election, and there was a very huge party for his mom. And we learned that you are there. You are the guest artist, and there were a lot of atmosphere of happiness and all that. And after that, we tried again, and it didn't work. Why has it been so difficult to pin ARALOLA down in the last 2.5 years? What have you been doing, and why is it so very, very difficult to pin you down?
Thank you so much, Mr. Asabe. I'm so sorry for the disappointment.
Thank you, ma.
Yes, I really apologize to you and your crew. It's been a series of events upon events, work and personal stuffs, and health challenges at some point. So I had to manage everything, and my people, I kept telling them, this is one interview I want to do because I've known you for years, and I know you're not just any journalist. You are one journalist that anybody should want to be interviewed by. And I said, this is something I really want to do. So
thank you, ma'am. With total honor, ma'am.
Thank you so much. So I'm sorry once again, but we are here now. So
honestly, it has been so very unique. I mean, I anytime I look at you and I look at the way the place you are coming from, I mean, the journey of creativity, the journey of your stardom and all that, and I say you have been one iconic artist that have stood the test of time. You face a lot. So can I start by asking you that, what is the secret of your staying power? What has kept you going in the last, let me say, 25 years now?
Yes. Thank you so much. What has kept me going in the last 25 years and more is just my vision. For the mere fact that I know that I was called to do this. I remember as a young child, I was less than 10 years old. I remember the dreams I had. I remember the things I saw. I remember this drumming for me is a calling, just like a pastor or a prophet is called. And it's beyond the drums. The drum is a means of communication. God is just using that drum as a platform for me to be able to affect my world positively. Every human being has something deposited inside of them. What God has given me is maybe because God does not make mistake. I'm sure it's because of my cultural background and where He put me in the world. For the Yoruba race, the talking drum is the most unique instrument we have, and it was a means of communication before it became a musical instrument. So using that instrument, I'm sure that God, my ancestors, had a reason for pushing me forward. When they say I'm the first female talking drummer, I always tell people I am not the first female talking drummer, but I'm the first female talking drummer of international repute to be celebrated, to be recognized, because I know there must have been women who played this instrument, but they were never recognized and acknowledged in the past. ARA is just that first woman or girl, as it were, when I started, to be recognized for this instrument and to take it on the international scene. So for me, my staying power, my resilience, my strong will, I don't give up. I am a very positive person. I'm very, very optimistic. I look at the good side of things and I tell myself everything is working for my good. Even if it's looking negative, I always say, now this negativity is just, is just for now. It's actually going to turn to positive for me at the end of the day.
Looking at it critically, how have you been able to, to succeed? To bust the hurdles of life? Because growing up, I remember in those days when we were in Fame magazine, you are so you are so loud, but there are a lot of things from the Atunda experience. To being the ARA that we all know. After Atunda, then the global thing just came up. You received the key to the city of Miami, and some other cities around the world, So how were you able to sustain fame at that tender age? It's not easy.
Yes, it's not easy. Thank you so much. Like I said earlier on, I believe I was called to this, so I was prepared spiritually. I was prepared, even I guess from before I was born, for this, because I know sometimes like your question is actually, something that I've always asked myself, how did I manage it? The platform that I grew from, that the ARA brand grew from, before ARA brand, I used to be called Yemoja. That was my stage name. Then I used to be called Lola Ola, Afrobeat singer. I was on Mr. Bafemi, Lasode, Even Ezra Studios. I recorded 3 songs, 2 of which we shot the video in 1998-99, Which One You Dey and Mukulu Muke. But the Atunda platform brought out my skills in drumming. I started drumming from age 5. I was the head of my drumming set in primary school. I grew up in Warri. My dad was a senior manager with UBA at the time. Efuru branch had a new branch, so my father was transferred to Delta State, then Bendel State, to head the branch. So I started drumming from, even before we got there, but Warri. Then I went to school in Akure. I was a head drummer. I was a social prefect in my days. And then by the time I got to Atunda, I had passed through different phases from Sherry, Yemoja, Lola Ola, then ARA, which is actually my name, ARALOLA, given to me by my grandfather. Now, Atunda Entertainment gave me a platform that I would never forget. The founder is a unique man who has I guess his experience from being abroad and working with different celebrities and stars, a man of vision who had a great vision of running an entertainment industry. Yes, there might be some minuses here and there, but nobody is perfect. So I grew from that platform. He had his own way of management, which to a large extent is good, but I fault it in some areas. Having passed through it, I can fault it. I can say these are the minuses, these are the pluses of that style. But it wasn't an easy period. It was not easy because it was new at the time. I was surrounded by a lot of people who also didn't understand what he was trying to do, who fought him and fought me as well. When I say fought, I mean both physically and spiritually, who opposed it, who were opposed to it and everything. But that spiritual backing and guidance that I had, that I know I have, saw me through it all, because there were days that I felt like committing suicide. There were days I felt like I felt I was going to go mad. You know, there was a particular day I just assembled all the plates in the house. I started breaking them against the wall. I was going crazy, you know, because I wasn't allowed to mix up. I wasn't allowed to see my family. I wasn't allowed to make friends. Even my colleagues in the industry were so upset with me that, oh my God, proud Nisha, you know. It wasn't like that. I signed a contract. I was young. Now, this is the difference. I didn't go into music because I was hungry. I came from a privileged background. My father was a senior manager with UBA. It was a talent that I wanted, that I had. And my father encouraged me from my very younger days. So my father felt that, hey, since this is what you want to do, we'll see you through. You have signed this contract. Because my father went with me to the first meeting. I was supposed to wait for the lawyer that my father was, you know, family lawyer, to go through it and everything. But I was called by the CEO, by the founder, said, you know what, why don't you come? You know, your father doesn't understand this business. We mean well for you. In fact, this contract is going to favor you more than us. I was naive.
I understand, naive.
Extremely naive. So the contract says they take 70%, I take 30%, you know. And at the end of the day, I signed that contract. When my father came back and said, why would you sign this contract without me? Because my father went to UK and said when he comes back, we're going to attend to it. So before, and I was in school. I got into University of Ile-Ife to study law in 93, 94.
So University of Ile-Ife?
Yes. I didn't want to study law. I wanted to do theatre arts. My dad insisted on law, so I said, okay, no problem. Because my father said, hey, you have a passion, but you are also highly intelligent. Why don't you go for this at the end of the... But to me, I was like, at that age, for you to know the kind of mindset I have, I passed my GC, I passed my WAEC. So because I had passed my GC, I think when I was to write my maths also, the exam, I didn't go. I said, because I don't need it. You know, that's the kind of stubborn mindset that I have. So I don't need it. So I kind of had a clear-cut vision of where I was going. So when my dad said, you must study law, no problem. She is to study law. Yeah, we'll study law. I got into university. I don't think I attended how many lectures those days, so I failed intentionally because I didn't want to stay. So I failed. I didn't tell them at home. I got my papers. I transferred myself to theatre arts.
Just in school without their intention? I didn't
tell my dad. I didn't tell my parents, because this is where I went. Because I used to go to their late night rehearsals. Then it was Mama, late Shufola. Mama she was even the one that conducted our orientation when we got to Ilorin then. So I fell in love. Naturally, it's what I wanted to do. The drumming, the theatre, the dances, that was what I wanted to do. So at the end of the day, unfortunately, I had issues with the HOD. So I was kicked out again. So I now went for IJMB. All of this, I didn't say anything at all. I paid for IJMB.
Managing it personally?
Personally. I went to Kwara Poly.
Must be a very strong person.
Went to Kwara Poly, got the IJMB form, sat for the exam. Unfortunately, my result was not released. So at this point, I knew I had no choice than to go back home. But meanwhile, I was already singing and performing with different bands in Ilorin. That was what took me to Kaduna for the first time. I met Balamila, Delay Balamila. We performed at his place in Kaduna. I'm talking about 95, I think 94, 95. Yeah, 95, sorry. So I performed there. Then, and different shows in Kenji, you know, at the time. So this platform that Atunda gave me, let me come back to Atunda Entertainment. With his wealth of experience, that's the founder of Atunda Entertainment, with his wealth of experience and everything, a lot was wrong that almost gave me mental issues. That even people were not as locked up as I was. And when I read a few days ago, a colleague of mine who is doing so, I don't want to mention her name, said she had suicidal thoughts at some point in her career. They were not even locked up. You know, I was locked up as in from everywhere. I can remember an experience I had in New York. Evan Olife had met us at Atlanta and said, oh, we want to do this, so come when we got to New York. Because somebody in the group had said I was trying to run away at the airport, unfortunately it was a lie. My passport, because each time we travel, our passport stays with him. And even when we come back, it takes our passport. So there was a gang up against me, part of the fighting I was talking about, that, oh, maybe if we say she wants to run away, she will have problem with the management. I didn't want to run. It was my first time at the Atlanta airport. I didn't know that the airport was that big that where we are, the section where there was restroom there. I now walked all the way down, looking for restroom, so I got lost. You know, so they just said, oh, she wants to run away. So when we got to New York, I was locked in the room from morning till now without water and food. It wasn't, if not that Evander had said, oh, would the executives of Broadway Entertainment would like to meet with her, which he had arranged with Mr. Evander at the time. So then I was now told, okay, food was brought to me. There's so much I don't want to talk about because I went through a lot.
No. You see, you have to talk about it because you see, ARA is not just an ordinary. What can I call it? An ordinary person. ARA is not just an ordinary entity. ARA is a very huge name, and forget the personality behind it, but the spiritual, the mental, and the structural identity is something that we cannot forget. And it's also good for your book because at that time, even we journalists, we had it raw getting to even interview ARA. It was like a kind of let me call it accessible imprisonment. So what other thing? Because at the end of the day, you got out of it, and there was a whole lot of noise around it, and the media didn't get a good bargain. And I think that was the reason. That is what affected the image of that man till today, because it was on the escape of ARA into a bigger limelight, a more accessible limelight, that he now went into a kind of public nosedive. So what were other things that you didn't really like about that deal that seems to lock you up in a cocoon but only showcase you when it is time to present your creativity?
That is wrong. I do agree with the fact that you don't spread yourself too thin as a brand. But what I know, in spite of what affected Michael Jackson.
That's interesting.
Yes, because he was shielded in a lot of ways, and he started from very young. I used to tell people, if Michael is not an ordinary human being, or was not an ordinary human being, if I could experience it for just 7 years of being held, locked up, away from everyone, manipulated, exploited and violated, if I could go through that for 7 years, and I almost lost my mind at some point. I wasn't making the kind of money I was supposed to make, because I could remember that at some point, even as big as the brand was, I would need to still go and sign for 5,000, 10,000 naira. You understand? And it was such that even when I had money, and because I'm a giver, so a lot of the people around me from the shows we did, yes, I would give them, money and all of that. So
just to encourage them.
Just to encourage them, because a lot of them were going through a lot at that time. Those guys, they went through a lot. I think the only show I did that I made good money, that I know the money was really good, was a show we had with the former Minister of Information, John Wike.
Franklin Wike Jr.
Wike Jr. Yes, it was in the US. If I remember well, I think I was paid $10,000. I cannot remember, but I think so, because I think so. I don't know. I think the entire money was $10,000, or I don't know. I can't remember the deal, because I'm not privy to whatever he does. Transactions. I'm never privy.
Behind the scene deals.
I'm never privy to it. It's just what I'm given, and I accept it as it is. Except I'm reading otherwise in the newspapers. Just like what happened with the Leon Sullivan's event, that I think he said he was paid 86 million or 76 million. I had gone to the meeting with him. Mrs. Yaradua, the half-caste woman, or Igbo woman, heading the Yaradua Foundation, was there, and they asked me a series of questions, and I answered. So I just answered, and then it was paid that money. I think I got 400,000 then, and all of that. So
got 400,000, then you now read that it was 86 million.
Yes, it was for the project was huge. It was supposed to even include other artists, because after I got out and I started mingling with people, a lot of people accused me that I was, because of you we lost out this deal, because of you that we didn't get this deal. Your guy was supposed to bring all of us together. He just took you people and rented. It was just crazy. So I had loads of enemies without even knowing why I had them, because I didn't even understand it. And then they made it look like I was the one in control, kind of. I wasn't, I had a say in my creativity, because I wrote my songs, I arranged my songs, of course, with the band, with the input of the band and everything. And then at the end of the day, we'll call him, Baba, can you come and check out what we've done? Okay, yeah, I think I like this, or I don't like this. But because I know what I want, and I trust my talent, I know what I can do, my creativity, thank you. So that event in Washington, D.C., I think at the end of the day, I had about 900 and something thousand left. So I told him I want to buy a car. He said, you don't need to buy a car. We'll give you a car and all of that, no problem. Then at that time, one of the people working with him, MN Estate was not developed, was not in at all. Then it was just a fence that was all the way stretched down there. So I was to get like a plot of land for 40,000 each. So what I wanted to do then was buy 6. That's an acre, be 1 acre. Yeah. So he said, no, don't worry, I'll give you land inside here, my resort, don't worry. So all he tries to do is he doesn't want you to be independent. He makes sure that you don't have anything to fall back on. It will deprive you of all of that. Even if you have, at the end of the day, I don't even know what happened to that money. I just spent it anyhow. But I bought some shares. Yeah, I bought some shares with different companies, holdings, some stock and all of that. And then the remaining went to charity and, myself, savings. Of course, I was young. I didn't have the guidance of my parents. They didn't have access to me. I was Omo Daddy, I didn't have any street sense. No, not one. I was Omo Boti, I was Omo Daddy, and I'd never managed anything on my own. So if my parents had access to me, like I got scared because he told me it was the only one that meant well for me. So like everybody else was evil to me at that time as far as I was concerned. Everybody else was out to destroy me, kind of. So that was there. Of course, it was not ordinary. You understand? Of course, it was not ordinary because as I got to know later on, it wasn't ordinary. One or two other female artists, he groomed them recently. I think one of them has finished. The same issues I had with them, the same one that girl has, because I know people who are close to her, and she reached out to me, and I counseled her. I said, listen, just make sure that you do all you're told to do. And your talent is your talent. Nobody can take your talent from you. If truly you have it, nobody will take it from you. When the time is right, God will give you a platform that you will rise from. And I said, never disrespect him, because in life, Yoruba need to be lonely. Take the good part of it. He has given you a platform to be heard. If we're not for him, I will not be heard the way I was heard today. You would not be heard the way you were heard today. So the other parts that we are not happy about, which we couldn't do anything about, I let it go. But the reason why, when I have opportunity sometimes to talk about it, is so that other girls don't fall into that trap. That's why I talk about it, because if not, it's a foregone issue with me. I know.
And we cannot read the book of Ara without opening to the page of Atunda. And the page of Atunda is full of a lot of experience, maybe the most necessary background experience that spur you into maturity. Because as at that time, as you said, you are just coming from a home and maybe from a school background, and you are just cocooned into that cocoon. But let me ask you this question. Maybe was this as a result of the fact that you were hushed into signing that agreement without the input of your dad, who was going to get a lawyer that could look at it critically? Because I myself have sat down, people gave me employment letter, and I look at the clauses. I could remember a financial institution that said, come and work with them. I look at all the clauses, and I told the woman, please, can you let me go and come back? And I got into my car and I drove, and I didn't go back again, because the clauses were so very, very, they were so timid, and so it was like a possessive thing. They want to just end you, and anything you do, you might end up in jail. So was it that because you were being forced into signing at that moment without the input of your father?
I was cajoled into signing it because my dad said wait, and he said you don't need to wait. Your dad doesn't understand this business. I do, and I mean well for you, and it favors you more than it favors us, So I mean that's the most cunning words I've heard, and so I fell for it.
Fell for the bait.
I fell for the bait, yes. Never should you sign a contract without a lawyer. Never should you sign a contract without a lawyer. I made that mistake. It was a big one. By the time I wanted to leave, by the time I realized what was happening, by the time my eyes opened and people started, at some point, I started mixing up gradually. I was so afraid, like my mom will call me like, I'm coming to see you. I'll be like, I'm not home, but I'm there. Because I'll be told you cannot step out of that door. Like in the house I'm living, I can't step that door. 2 weeks I will be in the house. I won't even come out. It's not like anybody is coming to visit. It's just me, the bodyguards, the chef, and the people living in the Biki who also work for him at the time, you know. So it's got so, but you know what? I'm glad that some things happened that didn't expose me to some people, because my brother, I was extremely naive, extremely. So he shielded me. He played on that. Then he shielded me from other people that would have taken undue advantage of me because of where I was coming from. Like I said, I had not a single street sense. No, not a single one. So at that point in time, he took advantage of that innocence and took advantage of that aspect of me. But he also shielded, I think he also shielded me from other people that would have taken undue advantage. Yeah.
Now, looking at it critically now, I want you to talk on this issue because it has been a long time argument in that industry. The entertainment industry is a very huge industry, but you discover that some of the signs and vestiges of that industry is cheating. In a situation whereby an artist is signed to a label, and the artist and the label owner goes to a meeting, and all he hears is the deal, the discussions, and the money is being paid. He's given like a stipend. Maybe they gave him a very lush apartment, a tush car, and later in life, he now hears that, oh, that deal was 100 million, but his boss, the label owner, made him to understand that it was just 10 million or 15 million or some peasant amount of money. How do you think that can stop? Because in recent time, a lot of these artists have gone out to start their own label, and most of the label owners, big label like Kenny's Music and all the rest, are now Backstreet's company. Some are not even in existence again. So in your own time, how did you, if you find yourself in a lecture room and you have to lecture 1,000 upcoming artists, how do you think they should succeed in this area of money sharing, gratuity, and privileges?
Thank you. I would say to any artist out there, it depends on what contract you are given. If you are an unknown artist, a raw talent, signed for the first time, there's a lot of investment that goes into that. Loads of investment. It's capital intensive. Now, for that management to make you a star, a known brand, they also have to leverage on their goodwill, apart from investing heavily. The only aspect I don't accept record labels or management companies is the dishonesty. Dishonesty, yes. If you got a deal for 100 million, let your artist know you got a deal for 100 million. Why lie about it? Now, the artist knows that the 100 million is not for him or her alone. The artist knows that. And then as you are investing, because I've had this discussion with somebody, if you sign an unknown artist for the first time, always make sure that you have a dedicated team or personnel working with them and making them realize every penny spent or every goodwill leveraged on and what it translates to, right? Because they need to know. Because at the end of the day, see, as you grow, you begin to realize that na me be this, people will come, but why they didn't come for you when you were raw? They are coming for a finished product. Now, somebody invested in that finished product. That person needs to get paid. If I was well treated in Atunda, I'll still be in Atunda today. Yes. Because Atunda gave me a wonderful platform. But cheating in Oni. Atunda did something unprecedented, never before done for any artist in this country. But the aspect of kafia and kafia koko eni shofo. Me mo se ma san elede oyinbo like in sunny Yoruba was
that is time wasting measures and trying to use your own esteem to steal your esteem to benefit their own
So I would advise any management company, any record label Be transparent.
The artist.
Be transparent with the artist. Let them know. See you. Because see, when an artist is about to sign, there's desperation. They don't read. They don't give a lawyer. It doesn't matter. I just want blow. That I just want blow. It won't become I don't blow. Waiting the happen.
Be inquisitive.
Thank you. And at that point in time, there's handcuff in your hand. So how do you remove the handcuff? And the handcuff on your leg. So from the onset, fine, you have a talent. You're not doing the management a favor, and they're not doing a favor. You need each other. The management has money, but no talent to invest in. You have the talent, you don't have the money. So it's technique and talent. The technique is what pushes the talent. And the technique is huge money. Do you know how much it is to shoot a grade A video today? Do you know how much it is to push it? Not shooting is another thing. You will push it. Getting you that when you are starting out, they need to pay events to have you feature on their stage. Events, they're supposed to be paying you, right? But they will pay. I want my artists on this platform. And sometimes they pay heavy. So how do you quantify that? How do you want the management or record label to make their money back? So when you now blow, you feel that you have grown wings and now you can challenge them. No. So, but because there is no accountability, there's no transparency, that is where the problem is. So when you are signing an artist from scratch, raw talent, let them know every dime that goes into it. So when they decide to leave, this is what we have spent. And whatever you spend, make sure they sign. Or before you spend, let them know, we are taking this step. This is what it's going to cost. Be transparent. Do you agree that it's just like prenuptial? Yeah. A prenup. Because at the end of the day, you know what's going to happen. You are going to go your separate ways at the end of the day. So prepare for it now.
Sure.
Prepare for it now. So you let them know what you are spending. You let them know what's coming in. You let them know that, okay, whatever is coming and we are spending, when money starts coming in, we're taking this percentage will go towards what we have invested. This percentage will come to you, then the remaining belongs to us. So it's an investment that you must recoup. You're not doing the artist a favor, and the artist is not doing you a favor.
At what time do you think an artist is free to fly like a free bird? You know, of course, like you say, when the artist is still raw and searching for fame, you might tell him to hang himself under that table and he'll be there gently. Yes. But the moment he becomes a star, if you tell him to stand there, he will tell you, no. He becomes so very arrogant and at times. So, at what time do you think record labels should be ready to allow them to be on their own? Because a lot of time you've seen the story of Olamide and Tony Pine, what do you call the other guy? Wizkid and Banky W, even Toof Baba and what do you call it? And Kenny's Music. Before Toof Baba now went with Ifeoma Rugbe to now have his own entertainment outfit. You know, a lot of stories in the industry, and the big boys are now almost begging. Some of them are going into politics. Some of them are going into their own production. They cannot boast of any artist, and even to make it worse, technology has come. So at what time do you think this record label should allow them to fly? Because in your own case, it was a very big thing when we found out, and there were a lot of stories flying around then, and before you went out of the country to take a kind of a rest before you now came back after some years. So what do you think artists, and don't also forget that in the days of Sonade and Take Your Choice record, it also happened between Abioro, that Sonade have to come back and say, "There should be careful me, you want you law," and it was because Abioro sent him out with law, and they was using the money made from King Sonade to promote Emperor Peters, who eventually became a taxi driver in Cotonou. And it's always like that. The only person that was lucky was Ebenezer Obey and Decca. So at what time do you think? I think Decca took care of Obey, but TYC didn't take care. Till now, the case is still in court. Recently, Sonade won 500 million. That was after like 20-something years, and the chairman of Abioro are still appealing it. So at what time do you think the record label should allow these artists to be on their own?
Now, thank you so much. Let me ask you, why make somebody a king and want to treat them like a slave? When you pick the raw talent, they are more or less like begging, like beggars. Then they become a king. It's just like even the mother of a king, or even the kingmakers, at the point where you're about to be made a king, the story is different. Once you become a king, so the moment you become a king, you must give the person the honor of a king. If not, Oba Beni Lorini. So as a record label, you've invested into an artist financially, morally, psychologically, mentally, in every way. You have built them from nothing to everything. You cannot subdue that. It's like destroying the works of your hand by yourself. So it's not like they get arrogant. They don't get arrogant. That's not arrogance. If the investor, which is the management or record label at this point in time, is transparent and accountable, the issue here is trust.
Trust.
The issue here is trust.
That 5-letter word.
Yes. If there is trust between the two of them, if the artist knows that, hey, this is what is going into me, and this is what these people's got to take, and they don't hear that, oh, they collected a 500 million and then I was told that it's 10 million and they are giving me 200,000. Why? Naturally, Jamawa. So, like I said, if I was well treated in Atunda, Atunda has, till date, I don't know any management outfit that can beat that platform. Till date, the strategy. But what went wrong is what I'm talking about. And then the manipulation. You don't need to manipulate an artist. You don't need to manipulate anybody, physically or spiritually. You don't. You understand me? And one of the issues I had with Atunda was, because recently there was supposed to be something in the media, but one way or the other, God just quelled it. And he got one of his officers to write me, because I put up a post that I may not agree with the way you handled my brand. I may not agree, but I thank you for the platform you give me, and I appreciate it. So one of the officers just sent me a message, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, where is this coming from? I'm not lying, it's the truth. I was not well treated.
And that's the truth.
And that's the truth. And I sent a message to the lady, and I said, please send it to Baba. I said, after Ara, the likes of Olamide, Tiwa Savage, the likes of all these people in the industry, they can boast of their own house, they can boast of investment, they can boast of this and all that. Within how many years of, I said for 7 years I was living, I couldn't boast of Spoke Keke, not even a wheelbarrow. And this same man that traveled the world, recorded with Stevie Wonder. After my recording with Stevie Wonder, I was told that Stevie paid me $900, and they took 70% of the $900. In the morning, they had brought a document to my hotel room. Stevie said I should sign off my royalty. I told somebody afterwards, I think Shadi Adu's from Adroma, I told him, he's in the UK. He said, no way.
Sign off your royalty. That is not even till today. Today, by one, Paul Tucker of Lighthouse Family, they are still collecting their royalty.
I was told, and I told the founder, I said, I'm not going to do this. It was like, if you don't do it, Steve is going to be upset with you.
And were you meeting Steve? Did you have the opportunity to meet Steve one-on-one to talk to him?
Steve is a very good friend. But then, I was still very naive. I signed it, and even when I got recording with Stevie, there were a number of times it was just Stevie and I in the studio. I never asked him. Because even then, I didn't know I was being cheated. So I didn't think okay, let me ask Stevie, did you tell me to sign off my royalty? I didn't. Years after I tried to ask him, but I was told to let it go. And I was told I could claim it on some platforms and everything, which I registered. You understand? And I realized that, yeah, I was being paid.
Those royalties? Well,
maybe not in arrears, but, something minimal came, but I don't know what had happened on the ground. So if there is, so I now responded to I said, see, look at A, look at B, look at C, look at Tiwasawi, look at, and listed a few of the female Yemialade brands. Yeah. You created a brand and you kept putting the brand under the table because you didn't want the brand to go out. Let me tell you something. The executive of Broadway, they're all white. Broadway, Everybody knows Broadway in the US. Every artist wants to be on Broadway, from the Beyonce to Usher to everybody. You understand? They've all been on Broadway. Now, Broadway said to the founder of Atunda then, sign out to us for 2 years. We're going to put a story around that like the Lion King. For 2 years. He refused. Now, tell me, who does that?
So was just afraid that you could become something explosive and you fly away and fly big.
Thank you. Any project that will have, the brand shoot to beyond the skies, I wasn't allowed to. When the Queen came to Nigeria, I almost didn't make that performance.
Queen of England.
Yes, I almost didn't perform before the Queen. I almost didn't.
Why?
The same reason why he didn't allow Broadway to sign me. You can imagine if I had been signed to Broadway for 2 years. Now what I wanted to do was take the story of the talking drum and make it into something. Look at what Umoja is doing all over the world. I'm sure they wanted to...
Umoja from South Africa?
Yes, I'm sure they wanted to create an Umoja around the brand ARA, which would have been fantastic. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, Wesley Snipes came. And Wesley said to me, you should be in Las Vegas. I'm going to make it work. There's no African brand in Las Vegas. And he said to me on one condition, I said, what? He said, I'm going to have to dance on your stage. I started laughing. He said, Ara, why are you laughing? I said, because that's the most ridiculous condition ever. You want to dance? Please dance from beginning to the end. So it wasn't like, before I gave my response, it was like, you think I can dance? Did you watch Michael Jackson the way you make me feel? Did you want it? I said, I know. It's just like, it's the most ridiculous condition. Please dance. But that never happened.
Why?
I think we should ask the founder.
Atunda again?
Yes, please. I was on Atunda label then.
Before Wesley Snipes, I think you people came.
Wesley Snipes,
Wyclef,
of England, Stevie Wonder. He made this happen. Let me tell you something about him. He made it happen. That's why I said no entertainment outfit beats what he had. But Yoruba ni ṣe isokekere la fi ń Benny. No, I give it to him. The strategy obeyed. But see, this aspect of transparency, accountability, and this manipulation, it still does it with the female artists there till date. Because I heard a lot of stories and I could confirm because I experienced it, so I know. And I
experienced it firsthand.
Firsthand. I was the first experiment that worked. I was an experiment that worked because it was my time. Because, see, you could have... Look at the Jackson 5. Yeah. It was the last to join the group. They didn't blow until Michael came in there. The aura, it was called to. I believe I was called to. And that's why I'm not the first female to play this instrument, this unique instrument. But Atiko, and which is why till tomorrow people will be like, kini koni, igba koni, awo koni. I just smile. Yes, you're not wrong. So, my advice, let me go back again to it, be to the talents now. You should know that when you are a raw talent, which is, make sure you read your agreement, your contract. Get a lawyer to translate it. Don't say, boss, it no matter, I won't blow. Because if you are meant to blow, you will blow. Now, when you come blow finish, you now start fighting. It do not look like you're biting the hand that fed you. So, as a raw talent, you must know that they're going to invest in you. Nobody know you. They will invest in you. It's not be small money. I'm talking about millions. And you will make that million back. They must make their money, not be charity. So that message I sent to the lady, I said, you didn't do me a favor, sir. You invested in me. You made your money 1,000,000 times over.
At my own detriment.
Yes.
Because a lot of people felt I will have had house in VGC, maybe one in Lekki, and that you have made so much from that transaction. In fact, there are a lot of brands we attended then, and we all believed that Ara was the most well-paid Nigerian artist at the time. I
was well paid. As far back as when we're talking about, I was getting 5 to 8 million for just 5 minutes performance. But I wasn't getting up to how much? I wasn't getting more than 100,000, 150, 200,000. I don't think the most I would have gotten in any show I did in Nigeria. I don't think it was up to 500,000. And then the international shows as well, the one I said we had in DC, I can't remember precisely how much that money was, but I know that by the time I got back to Nigeria, I changed the money. I had 900 and something thousand naira. And I wanted to buy land. He said, no, you don't need to, I'll give you. I wanted to buy, no, we'll give you. You don't need it. So Atunda will take care of all of that. When I left, I ran for dear life. And when I left, the Jeep that I was riding, that was, first they took the official car. I don't know what happened. Then the Jeep I was given, I was riding. I parked it on my dad's house in Ajawa Estate. By the time I got to Europe, he sent Mr. Wale Oluwale and late Prince Kiladejo, I think he was buried yesterday. He died, unfortunately. He was, just brief illness and he passed. May God rest his soul. He sent Prince Kiladejo and Mr. Wale Oluwale to my parents' house to pick the car, to pick the Jeep, Prado Jeep. And my parents said, this girl worked for 7 years. She didn't have nothing when she left. She couldn't even afford to do anything. You took her out of school, because by then I had gone back to school, Ambrose Ali University, Epitome, to study English. I was in my 3rd year, 1st semester, when he took me out again and said, you know what, you cannot do both, right? So why don't you take your transcript and come to the satellite campus? It was then offered Eni Jones, which I did, but he never allowed me to go. He said, you don't need this, he threw it away, which I said it was manipulative. You understand? And my father said, and as at the time I now wanted to leave, my father said, Nibo, I sent you to school to study law. You said you didn't want to study law. You took yourself to this, you did IGMB. We found out you were not in school at all. I pitied you. You took JAMB again. I paid. You went back. You passed. Because, you went back to school. You studied English, Ambrose Ali University. Then this person came again. You said if you don't allow you to do it, wasakuru only. I was very stubborn. So my father said, oh, le kuro mbe o. Unto tori to kuro school le Ikeja yen o ma shetani. So unto ju about rimbe ma dije. So I had to face it. And my mom is a disciplinarian. My mom said that, you understand? So, I had to let her know. I said, sir, through the message I sent to her, I said, tell him he didn't do me a favor. He invested and he made his money. What did I leave with? I left with my name, my talent intact. I bless God.
Just your name and your life.
My name and my life. My name, my talent, my life. Because I was almost insane when I left. I went through hell.